What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Luttie's Look Back. My name is Nick Luttrell. Yes, it's still midway through November, and yes, I've still got the No Shave November. If you don't like it, you can change the channel. I'm very proud to at least do my best attempt at a beard, so you don't have to worry about that. We've got a lot to get through in today's show. I'll be taking you through everything you might have missed in Arkansas sports over the weekend. A lot of football to talk about today, and that's where we start our show. The Razorbacks putting up a valiant effort but falling short, 20-10 to number 3 Texas. We'll always start this show how we always do, with my 3 big things. The first one, Arkansas defense. They kept them in the game. Give credit to Travis Williams and Marcus Woodson to what they were able to do to keep Arkansas in this game, and that's exactly what they did. Now, were they able to force turnovers? No, and that's been an issue with this Arkansas defense this season. But it's been a little bit of Jekyll and Hyde so far with the Arkansas defense. No doubt, they kept them in this game. They were able to really slow down Quinn Ewers and the Texas offense that is top 10 in the country in scoring offense and a lot of other offensive categories. A team that doesn't necessarily run the ball as good as they do pass the ball. And Arkansas was able to stifle them for a lot of this game. They were able to get pressure on the quarterback. How long has it been since Arkansas has really pressured a quarterback like they did Quinn Ewers on Saturday? So that was at least a positive to take away from this game. And I think there were a lot of positives, right? You take the number 3 team in the nation pretty much down to the wire, and you give them a game like that. I think that's something to be applauded. People were worried about, is Arkansas gonna get up for this game? They have to against Texas. They have to, and they did. So give them credit for fighting and playing well in this game. The defense led the way. They kept them in it. The offense, not so much. And that kind of leads into my second point. I don't know why Arkansas didn't run the ball more. I don't have the stats on me, but they averaged a couple yards per carry, which isn't amazing, but that's because the stats were taken off of because how many times Taylor Green was sacked. And he was sacked not just like, a 3 or 4 yard sack. It was a sack where it was like negative 15 yards, negative 12 yards. And that gets into a whole other thing about Taylor Green's inability to throw the ball when he really needs to, which is something he struggled at this season and he did okay at in this game. And, Taylor wasn't the reason that Arkansas lost this game. It was the 2 turnovers. But I think Arkansas should have committed to running the ball more because the running game was working. Rashad DeBinion was looking good. Jaquindon Jackson maybe wasn't 100%, but he was looking good. Braylon Russell wasn't able to play in this game, and hopefully we'll have him back for Louisiana Tech and Missouri. But this is a team that they should value the run because they are a run-first team, and because that's what Taylor Green does best too. So when they came out in the game and started going like they're a pass-heavy team, I don't know what that was about. And I think that really led to some frustrations in the first half and why this Arkansas offense sputtered and was able to have those problems. But that kind of leads into my next point, my final point. Turnovers really hurt the Hogs. Once again, I mean, how many times this season has it been Sam Pittman talking about turnovers? Turnovers. That's been the issue with this Arkansas team this season. They've come close in a lot of games, and if you look at the turnover margin, that's the difference. That is the key difference to Arkansas winning or losing. In the games that they have won and beaten opponents, you think about the Auburn game, the Mississippi State, the defense of Arkansas was able to force turnovers. Arkansas offense was able to take care of the ball. On the flip side, I think about a loss like Oklahoma State, a loss like LSU, and then this game against Texas over the weekend, Arkansas turned the ball over more than they caused turnovers. And so that was certainly a big problem, and that's a problem that's continued throughout this season. Maybe that's something they can clean up, but I mean, you got 2 games left, hopefully 3, depending on how Arkansas does in the final 2. But those are my thoughts. Those are my 3 big things from the game. Here is Sam Pittman after the game, speaking about those turnovers and just how crucial they were.
Obviously, we lost turnover battle 2-0 and ended up losing by 10. So that had something to do with it. But I was proud of the improvement that we made defensively, and we've got work to do offensively. But it certainly wasn't an effort problem. I thought we went out there and played extremely hard. To beat the 3rd-ranked team in the country, you certainly can't turn the ball over, or you've got to get them. And it was 2-0. If, ands, and buts, we got to hang on to football. And if we do, we've got a pretty good team. I think we showed it out here today. But that's kind of been the story of all our losses and all our wins. Depending on what we do with turnovers. And even today, when it was ugly. Then it looked good, and it was ugly. It looked good. if we hang on the ball, I don't think it's a 20-10 game. I don't know if we win, but we sure as hell would have had a much better opportunity.
So turnover is certainly the story for the Arkansas team, not just in this game, but throughout the course of the season. Let's move on to something a little bit more positive. That's the Red Wolves. Arkansas State becoming bowl eligible over the weekend and getting the win 27-20 over Georgia State. How about those Red Wolves? I mean, I know it wasn't a game in which, it was probably a game in which they probably should have won more than 7 points against a Georgia State team that is currently winless in the conference. But nonetheless, an Arkansas State win, and now they become bowl eligible. And the running game, that was the big thing that at least I noticed in this game for the Red Wolves. Their ability to run the game. Jalen Rayner, the quarterback who's been inconsistent this year, wasn't great passing the ball, didn't even have triple digits as far as his passing yardage. But his running was really, really efficient. 133 yards rushing the ball. And you tack on with the rest of his team, Jaquez Cross, he had 76 yards rushing and a touchdown. Zach Wallace played really good. He, maybe didn't get as many carries as Cross, but he had those 2 touchdowns that really helped Arkansas State win this game. And it's good to see Butch Jones and this Arkansas State team being successful. And now they still got 2 games left on the year, and they can continue to build that momentum heading into postseason and maybe getting, I guess, not a better bowl than the Razorbacks, but could be seen as a more successful season depending on where their record ends up after the end of the season. But good to see Arkansas State doing well and getting that win over Georgia State. A team that is not doing so well, that's UCA. They fall, losing their 3rd in a row over the weekend. Central Arkansas losing 38-31 to Southern Utah. It's like I said, it's their 3rd loss in a row. And again, no Will McElvain. He got hurt last game, and then the backup got hurt after that. So the starter in this game was making his first ever start in a college game, a redshirt freshman. So there's all kind of pressure on this guy, Caleb Koger. But he came in, he threw 4 touchdown passes. He played good in this game. And then when they needed him to have kind of the drive of his life type of drive, when they were down a touchdown with a couple minutes left, he throws a costly interception, and you can't do much else. I mean, you're a redshirt freshman stepping into a really tough position, playing in a tough game. It's senior day for the Bears on the Stripes, and there's probably a lot of pressure on that guy to make plays and maybe forced it there just a little bit at the end. But no doubt a good performance from Koger. I think I also read that Will McElvain will not be back next week, so. I think that could be the final time we see him play in college, which is sad to see because he's had such a great career and he had such a great story. I mean, he was, I think, barely recruited out of high school, and then he comes to UCA and he does the things that he's been able to do with the Bears, which is really special. So it's too bad that he has that injury. Really do wish him the best. And speaking of injury, Shanderick Powell, I don't know if he was 100%, but it didn't seem like it. He had that fumble in the game as well that really hurt the Bears. They turned the ball over too much, kind of like the Razorbacks. But not having, again, I say this every week, but not having Powell at 100% and not having him kind of be your go-to guy running the ball, all due respect to Darius Hale, it's an issue for this UCA team when you don't have Powell. He's not just their best running back, they're probably their best player, but one of the best running backs in all of college football at the FCS level and maybe at the FBS level too. Honestly, I don't know. But not having Powell was tough, so tough for the Bears there. They got one more game to hopefully end the season on a more positive note than it's been certainly headed in the wrong direction at the end of the year. But let's move on to UAPB. They also dropped their 3rd in a row on Saturday night, 31-9 to a loss at Southern. Again, Southern, a really good team, so no disrespect nothing not too bad for UAPB losing that game against Southern because it was a team that was better than them. I think the thing that you wanted to see more out of the Golden Lions was scoring touchdowns when they got in the red zone. They had so many opportunities. I mean, you see the score behind me, 9 points, and you're probably guessing, okay, a touchdown and a missed extra point and a field goal. Like, how does that all calculate together? Now it's 3 field goals. It was 3 field goals, no touchdowns for the Golden Lions. And they were leading this game 6-0 early in the second quarter. And, they weren't able to convert when they needed to. They had good drives, and those drives stalled. So give credit to the Southern U defense, but UAPB not able to do what they needed to do in the red zone, and that seemed like their problem on Saturday night as they get that loss, struggling in the red zone. So a tough loss there for UAPB. That's our catch-up on Division I ranks for college football around the state. Let's now go to the Division II ranks, the Battle of the Ravine in Arkadelphia. OBU and Henderson State tied at 3 in the early going of the second quarter. Eli Livingston finding Bo Baker for the score. That puts OBU up 10-3 in this game. Let's skip to the fourth quarter. Y'all, this was a crazy game. 13-6 at this point, 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Reddy's, as I said, down by a score. They get a score here. Andrew Edwards with a rushing touchdown for the quarterback, 13-13, but a couple minutes later, Kendall Givens giving his team the lead again, 42 yards to the house. That put OBU up 20-13 in this one. But Henderson State, hey, they're staying in it. Another big play. This time it's Edwards to Caden Davis, and Davis making an incredible play, getting into the end zone, tied at 20. Back and forth we go. 2 minutes left in the game. Givens again, this time in the Wildcat, 27-20 OBU, but enough time for Henderson State to drive down the field. Can the Reddies get the upset, get one final score to send it into overtime? No, pass incomplete on fourth down, and that's how this one would end. OBU survives. They win the Battle of the Ravine 27-20. Let's check in on some other GAC scores from around our area. Arkansas Tech falling to Harding. The Bison getting the nice win over Arkansas Tech, 57-20. SAU getting the win, 54-22 over Arkansas. Monticello and OBU and Harding, they're now going to be in the Division II playoffs. I believe that starts this upcoming week on Friday or Saturday. I think we're still waiting on the official schedule to come out for that, but that's a look around college football. All right, folks, it is a very special time. You saw me here last week, and I broke down the bracket of the Class 7A high school football playoffs. We had a lot of great scores, which I'll catch you up on later in Class 7A, 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A. But now we're talking the Class 6A. I broke down my bracket, as I said, and kind of gave my predictions for the Class 7A last week. I didn't have time to do all of them, but now I got time to maybe do them week by week. So I'm going to start the 6A. This is what happened in the past week of 6A action. Of course, Greenwood advancing after the bye. El Dorado taking down Russellville. Catholic advancing for the bye. Mountain Home narrowly escaping Sheridan. Could have been an upset there. Could have been a big win by Sheridan, but unable to get it. That was a high-scoring affair. Benton will face off against Lake Hamilton after the Wolves get the win over Jonesboro. Jonesboro really kind of fallen off the map as of late towards the end of the season. I thought they were going to be a much better team than they were, but Lake Hamilton is on the up and up for sure, so that'll be a close game. Shiloh Christian will face off with Van Buren. This was the craziest game probably in the entire state, at least in my opinion, the biggest upset in which I saw. Van Buren taking down Marion. That's one where it's really not in our region, so I don't know too much about both of these teams, but I know that's a pretty big upset for the Pointers to get the win over the Patriots. So this is what's going to happen for this upcoming Friday, and I'm going to go ahead and put my predictions here, and then I will talk about them. I've got Greenwood advancing. That should be an easy one against El Dorado into the Final Four, the semifinals, and I've got them facing off against Little Rock Catholic. Jackson England is very special for this Rockets team, and he's been dominating opponents' defenses all season long, and I think England and his team will be ready to go against, granted, a really good Mountain Home team that put up a lot of points against Sheridan, but a Sheridan defense that isn't too hot right now. So I think Catholic should take advantage of that. They'll have a tough test against Greenwood in the semifinals, but that's my prediction for the top half of the bracket. The bottom half here, I've got Benton getting the win over Lake Hamilton. The big three you want to look out for with the Panthers: Drew Davis, Maddox Davis, Elias Payne. I'll throw in Luther Tucker there, but that's their running back, and they certainly have a great rushing attack, but offensively, it's their passing. It's Drew Davis. So hopefully he'll be good to go and healthy and ready to go against Lake Hamilton. Again, Lake Hamilton on the up and up, so you might see an upset here, but I don't think so against a really good Panthers team that has their mind set on a state title for this season. Remember, they almost beat Bryant to begin the season. The team has only got better and better under head coach Brad Harris. So that's my prediction right there. Excuse me. And then the bottom half of your bracket, this is the one, again, I really wanted to pick the upset here. Couldn't do it. Van Buren is, again, a good team that took down Marion. They're a scary team that I think could possibly take the upset against the Saints, but I think Shiloh just has too many weapons on their team. I think Shiloh Christian gets the win there and advances to the semifinals. The semifinals, we've got Greenwood facing off against Catholic and Benton facing off against Shiloh Christian. And for the semifinals, advancing to the championship game, I've got Greenwood and Benton. Again, it's a classic pick. It's both the teams that should be in the championship that I think will be in the championship. That doesn't mean there won't be upsets, and that definitely could happen. But I think Benton and Greenwood are far and away the best two teams in the Class 6A. That's how it's been throughout the course of this season. It's been both of them, and maybe you can throw in a Lake Hamilton, maybe you can throw in Marion at times throughout this season that's been up there, been able to compete with both of these. Shiloh Christian competed with Greenwood. They were the only team that were able to compete with the Bulldogs earlier on in the season, but I don't think Shiloh Christian can take down the Panthers. Like I said, Panthers have too much on their mind, and they want a state title. Greenwood is just so dominant. They have offensive weapons all across the board. So I've got, in my championship game in the Class X 6A, my prediction, Greenwood facing off against Benton. And then the champion in my Class 6A prediction will be the Greenwood Bulldogs. Again, I think this one will be tough. I think it'll be a close game, but let me tell you, these Greenwood Bulldogs really have offensive weapons everywhere that you look at it, and it starts with Kane Archer, their quarterback. Guy's got D1 offers from just about everywhere, hoping to be a future Razorback. We'll see what happens in the very short time coming. He has almost 3,000 yards passing this season, and that's really good. I mean, Drew Davis is probably close to those numbers, but I don't think I just don't think the Benton offense can compete with the Greenwood offense. Both the teams have good defenses as well. We're not able to have as many statistics on the defensive side of things, but when you have a quarterback like Kane Archer, you got weapons around him like Champ Davis and Grant Carnes. I think this Greenwood team is just too good. They've got too much momentum. They've got too much on their mind in order to win it all. And to win it all is, I think, what Greenwood will do in this one. Taking down Benton in the Class 6A championship, that's my prediction. We'll have to see how things go for the upcoming season. So let's look at some scores that happened, of course, this past Friday. We talked about the Class 6A there and the Class 7A. Cabot narrowly getting the win, kicking a game-winning field goal with under a minute left. The 1-point win over the Springdale Bulldogs. BB falling to Farmington 26-28. Camden Fairview. This was maybe a little bit of an upset. Fairview getting the win over Harding Academy 40-18. I think maybe some people expected Fairview to win this one, but I don't know if they expected to win by like 3 touchdowns. That was a bit surprising when I saw that score on Saturday morning when I was looking at the scores. This one is crazy. Our game of the week, Maumelle winning by just a single point. I think it was about 5 minutes left in the game. Maumelle drove down the field, kind of like Texas did against the Razorbacks. About 5 minutes left in the game, and they went for it. It's 4th and 1 or 4th or 2 on their own 30 or 20 yard line. They went for it, and that ended up propelling them to the win. So Maumelle advances. I think they got Parkview next, so that will certainly be a challenge, but congrats to Coach and the win there. Searcy falling to Morrilton. Searcy at times looked like one of the best teams in the 5A Central, but they faltered down the stretch 56-35 over Morrilton. Warren getting the win 35-13 over CAC. Walnut Ridge falling to Rison 49-21. It's a good Rison team that I have to look out for in the playoffs in the Class 2A. And then Mount Ida, again, another team that could potentially compete with the Conway Christians of the world and the Carlisles of the world in the Class 2A, getting the win over Bearden 45-20. So that is some high school scores from over the weekend on Friday. Let's check out some football, NFL football scores, I should say, from yesterday. The Saints getting the win over the Browns 35-14. The bottom left corner of your screen. Broncos taking down the Falcons 38-6. Atlanta struggling in that one, not able to put up the offensive performance that you thought they could have. Titans continuing to struggle. They fall to the Vikings 23-13. And then the Chiefs, their first loss of the season. They've had so many close games this year. They probably honestly shouldn't be undefeated before this game, but they were, and they fall to the Bills. Bills are looking really good right now after that one. Buffalo takes down Kansas City 30-21. So those are some NFL scores. We'll now wrap up the show with talking about some Arkansas soccer in the NCAA tournament right now. On Friday night, they took down Oklahoma State 4-0 in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Next up for the Razorbacks, the round of 32 against California at home. I believe that game is this upcoming Friday night, so that certainly should be a fun one. We'll, of course, end our show how we always do with my Lutties look ahead. Men's basketball got a big game tonight at 7 p.m. against Pacific. There's one thing I want to see from this team. I want to see domination from start to finish. I feel like we haven't seen that so far this year, even in their exhibition games. They've come out slow in the first half or finish slow. I want to see a complete game by the Razorbacks. That would be so nice to see. Wouldn't it? I think it would. We'll see how they go, how it goes tonight. You can definitely be sure to tune right back into THV11 Plus to watch those highlights later on tonight. That's men's basketball tonight. And then this weekend, we'll of course have the Razorback football team back at home. And once again, another shot at Larry the Bowling Ball to make his first appearance of the season, meaning Arkansas will go bowling if they win this game. This is the one that, you had a couple tough games as of late, trying to get that 6 wins. 6 is the magic number for the Razorbacks and any college football team right now, and Arkansas certainly needs to get it against the Bulldogs. Certainly a really good Bulldogs team that has, I think, 3 overtime losses this season, so that certainly will be a close one between both of those teams. Well, that's going to do it. Luttie's Look Back, episode 9, I believe. I'm always forgetting at the end of the show how many episodes we've done, but we're trying to do it a little quicker, a little more upbeat style. So hope you guys liked it. It may be a little bit different. Didn't have quite as much content to talk about this week, but we'll certainly have even more to talk about next week. We'll get closer and closer to basketball season, so we'll start transitioning to a lot of basketball. I love football, so it's going to be tough for me, but don't worry, we'll have the bracket breakdowns probably every week. I'll probably talk a little Class 5A and see what the semifinals are looking at 1 week from today. But should be really exciting. Make sure you're following THV11 on Facebook and on X and all the social media platforms. Following myself, Nick Luttrell, at Nick Luttie on Twitter, and at Nick Luttie TV on Facebook. Thanks so much for watching Luttie's Look Back.